Patriots fans, the wait is officially over because the question that you guys have been asking me all offseason has finally happened. New England Patriots quarterback Drake Maye has held an offseason throwing session just a couple of weeks before the start of NFL training camp. We got photos, we got videos, we got some takeaways, and we're going to break it all down in today's video. What's going on, everybody? My name is Colby, also known as Patriots Global. I appreciate you guys for clicking on today's video to hear me talk about some of the latest Patriots news leading up to Patriots training camp. And I know one of the biggest questions I'm going to get in the comment section is, Colby, where have you been? It's a valid question. Look, I just wanted to take a few weeks off before the start of training camp because once training camp starts, we are in the thick of the NFL season, really all the way up until February, and it gets crazy here on this channel during the regular season. Really, just the start of training camp. Once training camp happens, we got daily recaps for you guys. I go to training camp myself to give you my unbiased thoughts. Then we got the preseason games. Then the games are back. We have live watch parties, post-game recaps, and everything in between. So wanted to take a little bit of time off. But now that we're back, baby, we are officially back. So if you didn't unsubscribe to the channel, you're a real one. If you did unsubscribe to the channel, look, just resubscribe now and I won't hold anything against you. But let's just go right ahead and jump into this. So this is the first photo that we saw that kind of broke the internet because, again, one of the biggest question marks we had was Drake Maye going into year two? Was he really going to take that leadership role? Year one, he's not really going to be too much of a leader. It's kind of him understanding his transition from the collegiate level to the NFL, trying to understand and learn the system a little bit, try to understand and learn from his teammates a little bit. But year two is where we say, okay, can you really take this team by their hand and guide them when need be? And it looks like Drake Maye has done just that. Now, from the photo, you can see who is there. Now, I will say early on, it's been 2 days. So they had 1 day of offseason training together and then one more day. We don't know if it's going to be more than 2 days, but up to this point, it has been 2 days. And everybody that was present on day one were the same people that were present on day two. So the guys that you are seeing in this photo are the only guys that we have heard are there for this offseason throwing session. So from the photo, you can see, and I'm actually going to scroll up because on Twitter, I listed all the guys' names. So from the photo, you can see the guys that were in attendance were quarterback Drake Maye, running back Ramondre Stevenson, quarterback Josh Dobbs, wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, wide receiver Stephon Diggs, tight end Hunter Henry, rookie wide receiver Kyle Williams, wide receiver Jalen Polk, and wide receiver Pop Douglas. Now, I'm sure that Drake Maye had some type of group chat with these guys or reached out to them one-on-one and said, hey, look, we're going to be having an off-season throwing session. Who's interested? So the majority of these guys that are here are the exact guys that I wanted to see. Now, there are a couple of other guys that you do wish were here. Rookie second-round pick and running back TreVeyon Henderson, he's supposedly watching a lot of James White film. With that being said, we expect, and he's clearly expecting, to be utilized a lot in the passing game. You kind of wish that he got into this mix early on to understand the playbook a little bit more, understand his teams a little bit more, pick from their brains a little bit, and just build the chemistry with his quarterback. At the same time, TreVeyon Henderson also hasn't signed that rookie deal, so maybe there's something in there to where he felt like, hey, I don't want to be a part of this. I can't be a part of this. Or quite honestly, maybe it's just a situation where TreVeyon Henderson already had plans as maybe it conflicted with when this throwing session was going to be. Now, the other two players that I had a bit of a takeaway was, well, I guess three. You could add Antonio Gibson on top of TreVeyon Henderson because I think Antonio Gibson could very well also be in the mix as a pass catching back in this offense. But more specifically at wide receiver, there were two guys that stood out. One was Kayshon Boutte. Now, I think that Boutte and Maye already have a pretty good connection, but let's build off of what we saw in 2024 and continue that into 2025 because, well, I think the Maye and Boutte connection started to develop in 2024. It very much is not there yet. There was a lot of inconsistencies within that connection that I think if they can master down, then Kayshon Boutte can be easily one of the Patriots' top 4 wide receivers on their roster, but he wasn't present. The other one, and I think that this was a guy that had to be here, was Javon Baker. A lot of Patriots fans still have it in their heads that Javon Baker is going to make this roster. A lot of Patriots fans believing in Javon Baker over a guy like Kendrick Bourne, over a guy like Jalen Polk, and I just don't understand it. I think a lot of Patriots fans are falling in love with the idea of what they think Javon Baker can be and not what Javon Baker has actually showed us. Because since he's been drafted, what has he showed us? A couple of plays in training camp here and there. Other than that, he's done absolutely nothing. And I think if he was going to make some type of push in training camp, it was going to have to start with him taking the initiative to come to this throwing session, to get on the same page as his wide receivers, to learn behind some of these veterans like Josh Dobbs, like Kendrick Bourne, like Stephon Diggs, to get on the same page as Drake Maye, and he wasn't there. That is something that is not going to bode well for him, especially when you have people like Jalen Polk, who was there. You have somebody like Kendrick Bourne, who was there. Two other wide receivers who are kind of question marks on if they're going to make the final 53-man roster. Now, another guy you wish would have been there was maybe UDFA wide receiver Efton Chisholm. He's a guy that is certainly battling to make this roster with one of those final wide receiver spots. Again, we don't know why some of these guys didn't go. Was there conflicting reasons? Did they want to do their own rehab process? But nonetheless, or not rehab process, but just offseason process. But nonetheless, these are the guys that were there. And I think that this is going to be just big overall in training camp and who is ultimately going to make that final 53-man roster. Because let me tell you, the coaching staff, Mike Vrabel, Elliott Wolf, Josh McDaniels, those guys definitely know about this throwing session. They definitely know who's there and who's not there. Now, another thing that we saw posted was from a photographer, videographer that these guys decided to bring along. In fact, that's where we're getting all of this media from. The guys are not posting this themselves, but I posted this on Twitter, and I want to ask you guys, do you guys think Mike Vrabel would approve of what Drake Maye and Ramondre Stevenson are doing right now? Because there was this clip of Drake Maye throwing off, it looks like a float, just barely balancing off of it, and then going up to Ramondre Stevenson, who's trying to steer the jet ski, but also catch the ball at the same time. This play is very, very reminiscent of the Titans game from 2024, where time's expiring, Drake Maye's throwing off his back foot, finds Ramondre Stevenson in the end zone, touchdown, Patriots going to overtime with the Titans, but, unfortunately, ultimately end up losing. I think some people will look at this and they'll say, why are you putting yourself at stake? Why are these guys not taking this throwing session a little bit more serious? And I would say pump the brakes a little bit, because yes, these guys are using this throwing session to actually get on the field and actually practice and get on the same page and learn the playbook. But what they're also using this opportunity to do is just bond, right? Get on the same page, build connections, have a good time, because it's not always just about pure talent on the football field come game day, but it's also, can I trust this guy? Do I have a connection with this guy? Because if you do have a connection with the guy, you're going to be a little bit more inclined to want to throw him the football. And I think that's just what this is from some of the clips that you guys are going to see. But obviously, head coach Mike Vrabel has made it very, very clear that he wants his players making smart decisions on and off the football field, making sure that they are going to be okay to play this upcoming season. Maybe if he saw this, maybe he wouldn't be the most happy, but nonetheless, looks like the guys are certainly having fun. Now, like I said, it wasn't just these guys in the pool, in the lake the entire time. They did find a football field and they were practicing, and we did get our first look at Drake Maye and Stephon Diggs, which I'm going to roll for you guys right here. Nothing too crazy, obviously, no pads. This is simply against air, no coverage, anything like that. But you just see, runs a little, looks like it's just a corner route here, just a go route. Drake Maye finds him in the back of the end zone, just a toe tapping touchdown there by Stephon Diggs. Nonetheless, though, something that as Patriots fans, we are hoping that we are going to see a lot this upcoming season. Really happy that Stephon Diggs took this initiative to, despite his, rehabilitation process being his main focus this offseason, saying, I need to go with my teammates and build that chemistry, build that bond, especially with my starting quarterback. So I think Stephon Diggs being there is big. Anybody questioning, could Stephon Diggs be traded? Could Stephon Diggs maybe be a surprise cut during 53-man roster cutdowns? I think that so far what we're seeing in practices, what we're seeing with just his availability during these offseason throwing sessions, I feel pretty confident that he's going to be a big piece of this offense, but also that he's pretty much going to be a lock to make this roster. And if you hear anything else in the media, it's simply just to get clicks. And then the last thing we saw, again, just kind of the team bonding, just kind of a feel-good moment. And you can see the guys that were there are the same guys. So this was day 2. This is, from what we see, the same guys that were there on day 1. In the pool, it looks like it's Jalen Polk, Drake Maye, Kendrick Bourne, and Hunter Henry. On the balcony, you can see there's about 2 or 3 other people, with 2 people on the couch down there. And then you do see one person, some white dude jumping off there at the top, hoping that's just a videographer, a photographer, something like that. You hope that it's no Patriots player, because if Mike Vrabel does see some player jumping off the top of the building into a pool, he's definitely not going to be happy. But nonetheless, I'm just really, really happy to see that Drake Maye took that initiative to reach out to his players to get them all in what looks like it's North Carolina. Now, it could be Florida, but from what's been said, it's probably more so North Carolina, getting all these guys together, getting on the field to practice, but of course also just getting to know each other, having a good time, building that chemistry on and off the football field. That is going to go such a long way in training camp, such a long way this upcoming season. And for an offense that has been one of the worst in the league over the last few seasons, this makes me feel really, really good about the direction that they are going in. But this is where I kick it off to you guys. What are your thoughts about Drake Maye holding an offseason throwing session? What are your thoughts on who attended versus who wasn't there? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe for more Patriots news, reactions, breakdowns, all of that good stuff. We'll have training camp recaps every single day of training camp. And of course, the preseason, regular season are right around the bend. But of course, until next time, I'm Colby Cochran. Go Pats.